Record. Okay, so till this we completed. So like Oracle installation and how to configure SQL developer and how to create the database, then how to create a second database, configure SQL developer. Then by default, when you start the database, the all the paid pluggable database will be open in mount state. So how to open all the PDBs open read write mode that we seen. Then how to establish the connection to Oracle database that we seen. So internally what is happening in the backend when you give SQL plus slash is DBA. Okay, so then we configured a listener and a TNS name dot Vora. Please keep on mute. Okay, so we configured how to configure the listener and TNS name dot Vora file. So okay, so these are all the things we've seen. So today we'll discuss about remote connections. Okay, so how the application developers how they are connecting to database where my database is running on database server. Okay, so till this anyone having any queries till this? Let me know if you have any queries, whatever we completed on topics. Okay, so I am opening Paint. Okay, so this is my database server. Okay, so here I installed Oracle Database 19c and this is my database. Okay, so this is my container database. This is my pluggable database PDB1 and PDB2. Okay, so my database name is HRMS. Okay, so this is my database name. This is the container database. This is the pluggable database HRMS PDB1. Suppose there are two PDBs are there and HRMS PDB2. Like this, you can create a number of pluggable databases. So my database name is HRMS database, and we are assuming there are two pluggable databases are there. One is HRMS PDB1 and second is HRMS PDB2. Okay, so this is my can say this is my Linux VM. So Linux server. So which Linux we used? Oracle Linux. Oracle Linux. On top of Oracle Linux, we installed Oracle Database 19c software. This is Oracle Database 19c software we installed. Oracle DB 19c. We created a container database. So my database name is HRMS. So pluggable database, there are two pluggable database, HRMS PDB2, HRMS PDB1. Okay, so this is my application server. The same way there is application server is there. So application server mostly they are running with which operating system? Windows operating system. Mostly the application servers will be running on Windows operating system. Okay, so Windows server. So Windows server. Okay, so Windows server or Windows 10 operating system. Windows 10 operating system. They may use operating system Windows Server 2016 or 2019. So Windows 10 operating system. Okay. So if it is Windows, how they can establish the connection? What are the client tools for Windows operating system? What are the client tools? Suppose I am using Windows operating system. I am an application developer. Now I want to connect a database. I want to establish the connection to this HRMS database. How we can establish the connection? What are the client tools? Suppose here I am there. This is the user one. This is the user one. User one. This user one want to establish the connection. First, they have to log into this Windows server. After login, they have to establish the connection. Okay, so this is the user one. They want to establish the connection database. They want to connect the database where my database is running on my database server. This is the application server. This is the application server. Application server. So in my application server, what is the operating system? So Windows 10 operating system they are using. Windows 10 or Windows Server operating system. So if it is Windows, what are the client tools for to establish the connection to Oracle database? What are the client tools? Yes.
SQL plus and SQL developer.
SQL plus
SQL developer.
SQL developer. So SQL plus. So if it is Windows operating system, how they can use SQL plus? Yes. They have to open command prompt. How to open command prompt in Windows? CMD. So here, this is the command prompt for Windows operating system. From here, they can establish the connection using SQL plus. Okay, I am using SQL developer. I am using SQL developer. So I want to connect the database via SQL developer where my database is running here. These are the two servers. These are the two servers. Can say this is my application server. Okay. So this is database server. So these are the two servers. There are individual two servers. From here, all the users are connecting. They are logged into application server where my database is running. Suppose here the application is Flipkart. Suppose the application is Flipkart. Yes. They have to log into application server first. Then they can establish the connection from this application server to my database where my database is running on database server. This is my database server. This is my database server. Database server. Can say this is my database server. Yeah, this is my database server. Okay. So this is about application server. So this is the remote connection or local connection. First, tell me. So this is the here I want to establish the connection from application server to this database where my database is running on database server. This connection is remote connection or local connection. This connection is so what is this connection? Local connection or remote connection? Yes, Monica.
Remote connection.
Remote connection. Why you can say remote connection? So from where we are trying to establish the connection from out of database server. Out of database server. So if you log into database server directly, if you log into database server directly, from there if you want to try to establish the connection. Suppose I want to directly log into my database server. I want to establish the connection using SQL plus / sysdba. If you want to log into directly database server, so how can log in if it is a command line mode? Using this command, you can connect the database. So if you log into directly database server and trying to connect the database, that is the local connection. If you are in AP, you are in the local. Now we are in other state. So we are non-local. Okay. So directly if you log into database server, you can try to establish the connection. That is the local connection. For local connection, listener is required. Yes. For local connection, listener is required or not?
Yes, sir.
Required. Anyone?
Not required, sir.
For local connection, listener is not required. Last time we seen. We drop the listener, we connect the database, SQL plus slash is DBA. Yes, able to connect. If you want to establish the connection remotely, then mandatory there is a listener should be up and running. This is my listener. You have to configure the listener. Make sure the listener should be up and running from database server side. Then only. So this connection is received by first received by listener. First received by listener. If listener once receive the listener, what it will do? Just it pass the this connection information to database server side. There is a server process. It going to verify the connection validation. The username, password correct or not, the port number, DB name, this everything is correct or not, it's going to verify. If everything is good, it allow to establish the connection. So this is my listener process. This is my listener process. Listener. This is my listener. So for all remote connections, the listener should be up and running. That is the thumb rule. Why you are forgetting? Why you are confusing? I don't know. We are taking only 4 sessions only weekly. This is the listener. If there is no listener, you can try yourself. You can remove the listener. You can try to establish the connection from directly database server side. Able to connect or not. Then you can try that the same way. You can try to establish the connection from remotely SQL developer. If you don't have listener, it throws error. No listener. If listener is running and also listener should have support services, the database services, then only it will allow to establish the connection. Okay, so let me start my database server. So this is my database server, and here I am taking 2 servers. One is application server, other one is the database server. So from application server to establish the connection, what we require? Suppose we are assuming we are taking the Linux machine only. For application server also, we are using Linux operating system only. So here, what we require to establish the connection, what we require? What is the utility? For Linux operating system, if you want to establish the connection from Linux operating system remotely, what we required here? What is the utility which we can use to establish the connection? SQL plus. How to get the SQL plus? Here, install Oracle binaries only. Did you install Postgres binaries? The same way, we have to install only Oracle binaries on the client server. This is we treat as a client server or application server. Application server. On the client side, if you want to establish the connection, you required, if it is a Linux operating system, you required only SQL plus utility. How to get this utility? You have to install the Oracle binaries only. That is the step required from client side. In the database server side, what we do? In the database server side, you have to install Oracle binaries. You have to create the database. You have to configure the listener. You have to, everything should be up and running from database server side. That we all know. How to install binaries, then how to create the database, then how to configure the listener, then how to check the connection using TNS names.ora file. If everything is good, then we have to stop the firewall database server side, then go to the client application server side, then try to establish the connection using SQL plus utility. Clear? The same topic is there in the Postgres also. Any database, the same. How the application users are trying to establish the connection. Once you build the database server side, build database server, you have to share the details to application team. So here I want to establish the connection. What we required? What we require to establish the connection? Username, port, and DB name, and password. Username, password, DB name, port number,
Post name.
service name. Okay, DB name or service name both are same. Post name. So these are the details required. We have to share to application user. They don't know. We only, as a DBA, we only install and create the database. We make a database is ready, one of the server. So where my database is running, what is the port number, what is the DB name, what is the username, what is the password, these details we have to share to application users. After build your database, then you have to share these details to application users. So these are the details. You can configure your side using SQL Developer or SQL Plus. You can use these details. You can establish the connection. Like this, we have to share the details to application team. That could be any database. That could be Postgres, that could be MySQL, that could be Oracle. First, we have to build the database your end as a DBA. Yes, my database is ready to connect, ready to establish the connection. So you have to share to these details to application team. Which user they have to use. We have to create the individual users for application user. We have to create user DB level. So meanwhile, you can share the default user sys. What is the port number? 1521. Yes. We build the database server. We know what was the port number we used. What is the DB name? Yes. What is the password? Username, password. What is the host name? Where my database is running? These details, all details we have to share to application team. Clear? Once share these details to application team, they have to, using these details, they have to configure, they have to establish the connection using any one of the client tool. That is SQL Plus utility or SQL Developer or Toad. For any client tool, they have to use these details. Still they are facing any issue. Suppose they are facing some no listener or something, invalid username password. Then they have to reach out to DBA only. So I am using these details which you shared. So still I am facing the issue. This is the error I am facing while establish the connection. So as a DBA, we have to verify, we have to rectify that issue. Why they are facing this issue? So what details I shared, the same details they are using, or any wrong details they are using? They don't know actually where my database is running, what is the DB name, what is the port number, what is the username, password. Whatever the details we shared as a DBA, blindly they have to use those details and they have to establish the connection. Still, if they are facing any issue, by seeing the error as a DBA, we can understand. Suppose invalid username, password. That means the username, password is wrong. So we have to reset the password, username, password. We have to reset the password, DB level. Then we have to share the right password. Suppose no listener, yes. If they're getting no listener, we have to log into database server side. We have to verify the listener is up and running or not. So still if their listener is running, everything is running, still they are facing the issue means, finally you have to verify the firewall. If a firewall is running or not. If it is running, definitely they are facing the issue. So you have to stop the firewall. If these all the details are good, then they can able to establish the connection. Okay. Any queries in this diagram? So if you directly log into this database server, so this is, you can say, local connection. This is for local connection. You can say local connection. There is a two types of connections are there. Local connection and a remote connection. Remote connection means we are not log into this database server. We are log into this application server. From here, I am going to establish the connection. Where my database is running? My database is running here. I am established the connection from application server where my database is running on my database server. That is the remote connection. We can say remote connections. Remote connection and local connection. If you directly log into DB server, that is the local connection. For that, listener is not required. Okay. So let me login, root, Oracle. If you have any doubts, okay, so you can ask anytime. Okay. Open terminal, then if config, then you can see what is my 113. Let me log in. New session. Okay, so this is my database server. Let me change the settings. Appearance change. Okay, so let me click on OK, click on apply. So let me, okay, SEO-Oracle, let me verify. Let me make my database is up and running. I am going to verifying database is running or not. There is no database are running. Just now I started my Linux mission. So what is the uptime? Just now we started from 18 minutes onwards. My mission is started, is up and running, is up since 18 minutes only. This is the load average. So when my mission was started, just 8 minutes before I started Linux server, this database server. Suppose here if showing 23 hours means 1 day, 2 day, 2 day, 2 day, 10 minutes. That means from 2 days, 8 minutes onwards, my database server is running. So like this, you can verify when this server is started, when this server, how long it's up and running. From 8 minutes onwards, my Linux machine is up and running. Before 8 minutes, I started. That's why it's showing up 8 minutes only. That means it's running from 8 minutes only. This is the load average. It's less than 1 point only. So that's normal. This is the timestamp. You can say 2025. This is what timestamp up from 8 minutes only. So this is how we come to know how long my database server is up and running. Okay. Now, so now I want to start my database because no database are running. I want to start my database HRMS. So first we have to set the DB environment. So how to set Ora env? You have to give your DB name. It set the DB name echo DB name under DB home Ora Oracle underscore SID. Yes, it set the DB name. Next, Oracle home. Oracle home. You can say yes. This is the DB home location. It's set automatically. So how to know how many databases are created in this? There is a slash / Ora tab. By seeing these lines from this file, we can understand there are 2 databases created in this, but not running right now. But there is a 2 databases are created. For these 2 databases, one is HRMS. This is the home location. The second DB is CRMS. For both the database, this is the same home location. So we set the DB environment for this database name. So now I can connect this HRMS. I can start the database. How to? SQL plus /s sysdba. I connected ideal instance. So this is the local connection. Directly log into my database server. So this is the local connection. Now the instance is not running. You can start your database first. Startup. Every day we are saying verify the services, then set the DB environment, then connect the database. Can say startup. So let me exit. Now can say now able to connect the database or not? sysdba. Yes, we connected successfully. This is the local connection. Listener is not required. LSNR CTL status. No listener. Even though without a listener able to connect database, if it is a local connection. If it is remote connection, means I want to connect the database from here. Then it's before establish the connection, remote connection. There is a mandatory the listener and a DB both should be up and running. Then only the connection should be established. Or else it throws the error, no listener something. We'll see. Okay. So let me LSNR city. I am starting the listener. So let me, what is the IP address? 113. So this is the IP address. Before that, you have to give the right IP address, host entry details. Yes, same IP is there. If not, take the right IP address, you can give here. This is my database server host name. This is the shortcut name. This is the IP address. Okay, right IP address is there, then it's fine. Let me Oracle. Now I am going to start the listener LSNR CTL start. We verified the listener status. This is the LSNR CTL is the utility which we can manage the listener. When you want to stop the listener, when you want to start the listener, when you status, everything we can done using this utility. So start listener. Yes, started. Now just now started listener. Now the listener support no services. Why it's showing no? It's no services. Anyone? Yes, Shekhar. Why it's showing a listener support no services? Yes, Rajini. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So why the listener showing support no services? Is there any reason behind? Anyone? Anyone can tell?
Our listener is just now started and it's verifying background process
Okay.
like default port number,
Okay.
DB name.
Okay. When it was showing the services, why it's showing no services?
After 1 minute, it will show.
Okay. After 1 minute, within during this 1 minute, what it will do? Backend.
In backend, it's verifying the port number and DB name.
Okay. Just verifying, or it's going to do anything?
It's going to start the listener process.
So listener we started, the listener just now started. Listener is going to verify how many database are running on this database server side. That database going to registered. The listener is going to register with running databases. That is the dynamic registration or static registration.
Dynamic registrations.
So it's automatically going to verify how many database are running, going to register itself automatically. That is the dynamic registration. Now if you see status, it's showing services. Can say service, HRMS status, my database status is showing ready. If it is static registration, what is it showing status? Unknown.
No.
If it is static registration happen, the listener's instance status, service status, it's showing unknown. Here it's showing ready. Ready means it's a dynamic registration happened. So whenever you start the listener is going to verify how many databases are running. It's going to register those databases automatically. This line you can make a notes, you can read it. So this is the dynamic registration. It's automatically, it takes 1 minute time. Within 1 minute time, it's verify how many databases are running. Those databases going to registered automatically. That is the dynamic registration. So now whenever it's showing services are ready, then only you can establish the connection remotely. So when you see support no services with suppose your listener showing no services, that time are you able to establish the connection remotely? No, we seen last time. We started a listener, immediately we tried to establish the connection from SQL developer. That time it's saying listener doesn't know services. Means yes, here also showing no services. In that time, if you try to establish the connection, same error it throws. Listener doesn't know service. You have to wait. Listener came to know what services are running. You have to wait until it's going to register the database itself automatically. That is the dynamic registration. So now my all the database services are running. So PS minus EF grep bman. Yes, database service running HRMS my DB name. Then listener status, LSNR CTL status. Yes, listener status also. It's showing what is my database. This is the database HRMS instance status ready. This is the PDB database. You can say HRMS PDB1. It's registered a main database and a pluggable database also. So let's go and you can say in the what we do DB server side. So DB server side make sure DB and listener is up and running. That's this step is we finished. We verified PS manager PMAN and a listener status also. Next stop the firewall. Let me check the firewall. Exit system CTL status firewall D. It's a firewall is running. Let me stop the firewall. Let me stop the firewall. Yes, stop firewall D. So yes, this step also done. Clearly, we are preparing material and we are sharing and sharing the record also. So this step is done. Then we stop the firewall. Then so make sure we have to give the host entry details, right IP address, right host name. This is the without domain name. This is the fully qualified name. So you can remove this domain name. You can give the just a host name. This is the shortcut name, host name, just a test one. That's it. In our case, what is the host name? Host name. This is the host name. Yes. So the same details you have to give /etc host entry details. What is the IP address? If config. You can replace. This is your IP address. This is your host name. This is the shortcut name. Yes, the same details already existing. If not, you can replace cat/etc/. You can VI this file. You can paste the IP address, then space fully qualified name, then shortcut name. Then check the connection using TNS ping. Make sure it's pingable. So as a DBA database server side, we can check the connection whether it is pinging or not this database. So how can check? Let me Oracle user TNS ping HRMS. Now you can say file to resolve name. That means something is okay. Let me check the LSNR CTL status. Yes. Now let me go to the Oracle home network admin. CD. Okay. We have to set the environment or INV, then HRMS. Okay. So now CD $Oracle home. After set this INV, then only $Oracle means it takes the DB home path. Okay. Now network admin. Now can say. Okay. Let me go to till Oracle home. Yes, it take. Now network admin. Yes, we are in the Oracle home network admin path because there is a network files are there. Listener.ora file, TNS names.ora file. Yes, you can see here. Listener file is there. There is no TNS name.ora file. That's why it throwing error. What is the error? When you use TNS ping, failed to resolve name. That means there is no TNS. You can verify what is the TNS name.ora file existing or not. There is no file. You can say cat TNS name.ora file. You can configure the TNS name.ora file. So let me. So HRMS database, database name only. This is my DB host name. So okay, you can Just copy and paste. What database HRMS is there? You can TNS names.ora. Manually, I am configuring TNS name.ora file. If you want to configure the same thing, you can use netcr, netmgr, vi. Yes, I given my HRMS details, my DB details. Now we can ping TNS ping HRMS. Now you can say, yes, it's pingable. Now my database is pingable. Okay. Now you can good to establish the connection remotely. Now go to these are the things we have to done in the database server side. What are the things? We have to make sure our database listener should be up and running. You can verify these two commands. This is the listener status, checking listener status. This is for checking DB status. Then stop the firewall. Then make sure you have to add the entry details. Then check the connection using TNS ping, your DB name HRMS. If suppose database name is different, give the database name, right DB name. It should be pingable like this. If it is throws the error, then you can verify first that file is existing or not. If it is file existing, maybe DB name is different, maybe host name is different, maybe port is different. You can give the right details. If everything is good, it should be pingable. Then we are good. Then go to the client side, application server. Let me connect application server. So let me Oracle client. Suppose this is my Oracle client. Okay. Let me start. So this is a client. From here, I want to establish the connection. I want to connect a database from application server where my database is running on database server side. So what we required? SQL plus we require because we are using Linux operating system. So we cannot install SQL developer on Linux. If it is Windows, then we can use SQL developer or SQL plus, then Toad. If it is Linux operating system, from there you can establish the connection. You must and should use SQL plus utility only. How can get the SQL plus utility? That is the binary file. You have to install Oracle binaries. Go to the initial second class, how to install Oracle binaries. Using that record, you can install Oracle binaries on this file. Let me log in, root Oracle. On this client, on this server, you have to install Oracle binaries, Oracle software. No need to create the database. Just you need to install Oracle binaries only. Open terminal. Take the IP address 139.192.168.0.139. Root Oracle. Let me increase the font size. Change settings, appearance change 14, bold. Let me change the color. How to change the color? Background. Okay, so default background, modify. Suppose this is the color I assign. So this is I treat as a client application server. So here also we use the same operating system. Yes, you can use any operating system. Suppose we used a /etc. What is the command? OS release. You can say Oracle Linux 7.9. Suppose we are assuming as a client, I am using Linux operating system. From here, I want to establish the connection. From here, I want to establish the connection. I want to connect the database where my database is running here. Actually, my database running here. grep pman. Yes, my database is running HRMS on the server. So where is my client? This is my client. What is the client name, host name? This is the client host name, Oracle client.oracle.com. So from here, if you want to establish the connection, if you want to connect the database, here the database is not running locally. The database is not running locally. You can say ps-grep pman. No, there is no database running here. But my database is running on other server. I want to establish the connection. I want to connect my database HRMS from in this client mission to database server where my database is running on other server. So how to establish the connection? What we required? SQL plus utility we required. So you have to install the Oracle binaries. So that we already installed. Let me go to user one app Oracle product 19 say DB home. Yes, you can say LL. We installed Oracle binaries, the same home location. You can use any home location, it's not a matter. Just you need one location. That location we used to install the Oracle binaries. So these are all our binaries. So which utility we use to establish the connection? SQL plus. You can say ls minus LD SQL plus. So this is the utility which we can use to establish the connection if it is a command line mode. So Linux is a command line mode, command line operating system. If you want to establish the connection, you have to use SQL plus utility. How to get this SQL plus utility? If you not install Oracle binaries, it should not there. How to get? You have to install Oracle binaries on the client side. So I have a SQL plus utility. I have a SQL plus utility. Then you can connect the database. In general, how to connect the database? Okay, if it is a SQL database server, wherever you can use like this. If it is database server, we use like this. SQL plus slash as sysdb. What is the meaning of this slash? That means username by password. SQL plus slash as sysdb means SQL plus slash means username by password. CC user default CC user the password Oracle as sysdba means we are going to connect the database with the sys user password. This is the password as a DBA role. Sys user going to connect the database with a DBA role as a sysdba. That is the meaning of slash. Slash means it's a username by password. It's automatically taken care. Just give the slash. That's it. Can say yes, connected. No need to use username password. Just give the SQL plus slash sysdba. The default taken username by password. Username sys user. That is the super user in Oracle database. So what password we given sys user? When you create the database, it's asking sys user, please provide the password. Sys is the default super user. So we given Oracle. If you want to change the password, yes, you can change later. While installation, we create the database, we given Oracle is the sys password. Okay. So SQL plus slash. Okay, we know what is the slash. Slash is indicates sys by password. Sys is the super user password. You can use directly, you can use like this, or you can use like this. That is in case of database server side. So from remotely means we have to use SQL plus utility. Then slash means username by password @ database server IP address @ database server IP address. So where my database is running? My database running on what is the host name here? Host IP address host name -i. This is the my database in on this host name -i. On this server, my database is running. You have to mention to host IP address where my database is running. My database is running on not locally, on local, on client machine. It's not running any database here. Here, any database is not running. You have to tell the system, please connect a database, HRMS database. The database is running on this mission, not locally. Here, if it is you are in the direct database server side, no need to specify IP address because directly my database is running on this local mission. This is the database server side. If you are other than DB server, if you want to establish the connection, you have to use IP address of the database server side. You can say @ database server IP address, then slash service name. Service name means DB name. Service name means DB name, HRMS. If you use sys user, you can mention as sysdba. If it is a normal user, no need to mention this one. Clear? Whenever you want to use to establish the connection, you have to use, if you use sys user, you have to mention as sysdba. That means sys user going to establish the connection with sysdba role, not a normal user role. Now, so here we haven't set up any environment variables here. So before connecting SQL plus utility, you have to export Oracle home. You have to export Oracle home. Export Oracle home, your DB location. Yes, let me do that. So where you have that SQL plus utility inside bin location. Yes or no? ls minus ld SQL plus. You can say all the utilities there in the inside bin location. Inside home location, inside bin location. So how to execute this? SQL plus slash. You can use, if you want to use slash, you can use slash sys by oracle at the rate, or you can use sys by username by password at the rate IP address 192.168.0 dot. What is the IP address? DB server IP address. This is the one 113 slash service name or DB name. Can say connection as sys should be as a sys DBA. If it is a normal user, directly you can establish this connection with this syntax. If you use a sys user, then you have to mention sys DBA. Can say able to connect. Which database connected? HRMS database. That database is not running on this mission. This is the client mission. By using IP address, this is the database server IP address. What is the syntax? This is the syntax. SQL plus username by password at the rate database server IP address slash service name. Which database you want to connect. So if it is a normal user, no need to mention as sysdba. If you use sysuser, we are using default user. You have to mention as sysdb so that this user establish the connection with sysdba role, not a normal user role. If it is a normal user, yes, you can use directly. No need to mention as sysdba. Clear? If you want to exit, yes, you can exit. Here, my database is not running here. My database is running on the database server side. That is a different server. Pman. No database is running. How to establish? Suppose if you use this SQL plus dot slash SQL plus slash as sysdba. It's not connecting. You can say net service name incorrectly specified. There is no database is running on locally. If it is running, it connected. Unable to connect to Oracle after 3 attempts. It tried 3 attempts automatically. After 3 attempts, it throws the error. So if it is other than database server side, if you want to establish the connection from any application server, they have to use SQL plus utility, then username by password at the rate database server IP address dot 0.113 dot service name. What is the service name? DB name. HRMS. Yes, I connected. Can say if it is a sys user, you have to mention sysdba. Connected. Clear? Any queries in this? So here where we are in PWD inside bin location. If you are not exporting Oracle home, directly use this bin full path you can use so that it will execute. Sys by Oracle at the rate IP address 192.168.0.13 slash HRMS. Yes, connected. Can say okay. As sysdb, it's a sys user, na? So you can use full path. That's fine. No need to export DB home location. If you want to export SQL plus from anywhere, you can export the DB home. Or else you can use directly home location, the full path of SQL plus utility. Bin under bin, there is a SQL plus utility. If you set up an environment variable, no need to use full path. Full path, username, password, at the rate DB IP address, where my database is running, which database I want to connect, then with a sysdba role, because we are using sys user. Okay. So if it is a normal user, let me create one user SQL plus sysdba. Can see how to create the user. Let me show PDBS. alter pluggable database name, open. I am opening the HRMS PDB1. You can say show PDBS, the database open read write mode. If you want to open normal user, you have to create user in this database server side, username, password. That username, password you have to use. You can just, if it is a normal user, no need to mention as is DBA. That is the only difference. Okay. So if you want to create the user, first you have to connect this HRMS PDB1. Can see? Yes. Then create user, username ABC, identified by password. This is how we are creating the user in database. You have to connect a pluggable database, then create one user, then you have to give the permission, grant create session to ABC. If the user having grant create section permission, then this ABC user able to connect the database. So now under which database we create this user? Under my pluggable database. So while connecting, you have to mention this DB because this user is under this DB I created, not under HRMS. After connecting pluggable database, I created this user ABC. This is the password. Then I given create section privileges. Then you can establish the connection. Let me see. Exit. Now SQL plus what is the user? ABC. ABC / ABC. Password. @ the same IP address. Then which database? HRMS PDB1. What is the service name right now? Service name means DB name. No need to mention as is DBA. Yes, connected. Can see? If it is a normal user, no need to mention as is DBA. Now this user is created under this DB. So service name is pluggable database. Clear? Any queries? Establish the connection. The same steps mentioned. If you want to verify the user is open or not, this is the query. If you create any user, that user information will be stored inside this DB underscore users. Username, account status. So username ABC, its status is open. If it is open, then only we can establish the connection with this user. Okay. Next, we can establish the connection using here what we use, you can say. So we can establish the connection using host name. There is another way. We can establish the connection remotely by using service name. By using remote host, you can establish the connection. By using service name, you can establish the connection. How to establish the connection using service name? Service name means make sure you have to configure the listener in your client side. Simple. I don't want to use IP address and all. I want to use service name. So suppose there is a HRMS PDB1. I want to like this. I want to establish the connection. So if you want to establish the connection using DB name or service name, before that you have to configure listener TNS name.ora file. TNS name.ora file. It should be configured at a client side, not a DB server side. It's there, but to check the connections only. But client side, if you want to establish the connection using service name, you have to configure the TNS names.ora file. So what it contains? TNS.ora file. So this DB details. What is the DB name? What is the port number? The same details. The same database server side. Go to the, you can say LL. Can say cat TNS not. This file, same file, you have to configure same path at the client side. This is the HRMS DB details. Let me copy this. Let me go to client location. This is the client location. So where I am in bin location, go to network admin. I am in the same location. So here there is no TNS name.ora file. You can say if it is there, then it's fine. Let me check the TNS name.ora file. Yes. If you don't have, by default, it's not there. You have to configure. If you want to configure, let me can say right now We don't have TNS name dot ORA file. So if we don't have TNS name dot ORA file, we cannot establish the connection using service name. Let me try to establish the connection. SQL plus @HRMS. It throws error. You can say could not resolve connect identifier TNS. That means there is no TNS names dot file. I am giving service name, but this service for this service details where I mentioned there is no TNS name dot ORA file. You have to mention inside the TNS name dot ORA file HRMS service name. What is the DBA host name? What is the port number? These all the details you have to mention. Let me configure TNS names dot ORA file. Yes, we have to. As a DBA, we have to send these details to application user. TNS entries. This is the service name. So what is the host name? On this host, with this port, my database is running. That is the TNS entries. Save this file. Now you can use using service name. What is the service name? HRMS. Enter. Can say failed because target host object host does not exist. Let me sys. Okay. As a sysdba. DB home bin SQL plus HRMS. Could not connect failed because target host. Okay. What is the host name I given? Let me check. TNS names file. TNS name dot ORA file. Oracle 90c2 dot oracle.com. Let's see what is my database host name. Host name 90c Oracle. Let me check the VI/etc host entries. 113. What is the if config? Yes, 113 correct only. Then why? Let me go to client. TNS names dot ORA file HRMS host port 1521 HRMS TNS pin HRMS. Okay, TNS pin. Let me use use ABC at the rate. What is the syntax? SQL plus username by password at the rate service name. SQL plus username by password at the rate HRMS. Connect failed because target host object host does not exist. LL SQL plus ABC HRMS target host. Let me give the VI if config 0139, right? VI/etc. What is the host? 113.139. Oracle client. Okay. Let's go for that. Oracle home. Then CD pin. CD pin. It's not taking. Okay, CD bin. Now let me SQL plus ABC ABC HRMS. Okay, enter a connect failed because target host object does not exist. SQL plus this by Oracle HRMS DBA. Net service name incorrectly specified. Okay. HRMS. Okay. Save user. HRMS as DBA. It's connected. Okay, let me give IP address instead of where is the BA TMS name start. What is the IP address? Double 138.192.168.0.113. Okay, so save this. You can see connected. The host name or the object does not exist, right? So you can, okay, it should work either host name or IP address. Okay, sometimes, okay, in real time, they are using DNS server to resolve whatever you give, it automatically resolve and it connect the database. So for local system, you have to give the host name instead of host name, you can give the IP address. Okay, so that is the problem. You can see LL. Here in this file, you can give the host IP address. Okay, so let me assume pingable ping 192.168.0.113. Just we'll close the next 5 minutes. Okay, it's pinging host name ping. It's both are pinging, but okay. For a local system, you can use inside the TNS names.ora file, you can give the DB host name. So this is the service name. This service means DB name. This database is running where on this host with this port. This is my database name. So using this service name, you can connect or you can use host IP address. So service name means just you can use SQL plus utility, full path of SQL plus utility, then username and password, then service service name as sysdba. If you don't use normal sys user, you can use abc by abc user @hrms. You can say invalid username password. So in that case, you can change the password. This username invalid username, this user password wrong. Then as a DBA, we can reset the password. As a DBA, we can reset the password. We can use right username password. Let me reset the password. How to Oracle HRMS SQL plus sysdba show PDBS alter container equal to. So how to reset the password? Alter user username ABC identified by ABC. Let me give password again. Yes, this is how we are reset the password. Change the password for user. Now let me go and try. Go to client. This is the client. Okay, so can see could not resolve connect identifier. Yes, HRMS. See? SQL plus ABC, ABC username, invalid username, password, the same thing. Alter user ABC identified by should be HRMS. Oh, okay. So which database we are? What is the error here? Here we created the user under HRMS PDB1. Under HRMS, there is no user, ABC user. So make sure the service name you should use HRMS PDB1. While connecting, establish the connection. Here you have to use HRMS PDB1. If you want to use this service name, because I created this user under this PDB, yes or no? Under this PDB, I created ABC user. So you can connect this database. So if you want to use service name HRMS PDB1, this service details also should there in the TNS name.ora file. So let me add this HRMS PDB1 details inside TNS names.ora file. So I can say this is HRMS PDB. Let me add the HRMS details. So I can say just copy and paste. Wherever HRMS is there, you can use HRMS PDB1. So service name also HRMS PDB1. DB name or service name PDB1. So this pluggable database running on the same host with the same port number. Like this, you can add all the service details inside the TNS name.ora file. Now you can use HRMS PDB1. Yes, connected. Clear? So here we used instead of HRMS PDB1, we used container database HRMS. But inside the HRMS, we did not create a user ABC, where we created inside the HRMS PDB1 pluggable database. So while use this ABC user, you have to make sure you have to use service name. This is the pluggable database. If you use this service name details should mention inside this file. Suppose HRMS PDB2. Suppose there is another DB. I want to connect this HRMS PDB2. The PDB2 details also you have to add inside this file. Same. Copy paste and change the PDB1 to PDB2. That's it. Like this, how many databases are there? If you want to connect all the database using service file, you can mention all the DB details inside this TNS name.ora file. So finally, this TNS name.ora file, it should be there inside the client side. Mandatory. Without TNS name.ora file, we cannot establish the connection with the service name. With the service name. Suppose if you delete TNS name.ora file, let me TNS name. Okay, let me take backup. Move. How to take the backup? Just move file. Yes, now we don't have TNS name.ora file. If you try to establish the connection using the service name, it throws error. Could not resolve connect identifier specified. That means there is no TNS name.ora file. There is no details, service details. It's not mentioned in the file. Now you can establish the connection with IP address. How to? Username by password at the rate IP address 68.0.113 / HRMS PDB1. Yes, we can establish the connection using IP address using service file. If you want to establish the connection remotely using service file, that time you should configure TNS name.ora file, your client place, the same location. The location is same. PWD. Yes, here only they can configure TNS name.ora file. If you move back to, can say, now we have TNS name.ora file. Now you can establish the connection using service file also. HRMS PDB. Yes, that is the use of TNS name.ora file. Any queries from anyone?